Hello, everybody, and welcome to my week 2 multimedia discussion board. Today, I'm going to talk about the organization I selected, the hiring manager, and the position that I'll be conducting the interview for. And I will go through phase 1 through phase 4 of the hiring process with the hiring manager. The organization I selected is the City of Harupa Valley, and the position that the one and only position that the city is currently recruiting for right now is the management analyst position in the community development department. The hiring manager that I interviewed is Diane Guevara. She's the deputy director of community development. And the reason I chose this one really is because I also work for the city of Fruita Valley, but I don't interact with Diane a lot. So I really utilize this as a chance, a networking opportunity with her and learn a little bit about her and her department. So moving into phase 1, what I learned from my informal interview with Diane is that the city and the hiring manager kind of tag team on phase 1. Once the submittal deadline is passed and all of the applications have been submitted, human resources will go in and just do a brief screening of the applicants to make sure that they have submitted all the required paperwork. In this particular recruitment, Diane has made it mandatory for the candidates to submit a formal resume and cover letter with their application for a review criteria. And so HR will go in, review to make sure that everything is submitted. And if not, those candidates, the candidates who did not submit those will be screened out at that time. From there, HR will provide Diane with the remaining candidates, and Diane will then go and do a screening of minimum qualifications. She'll look at their work history and education, make sure that meets the job requirements, and then from there, she will take the next group into the next round of evaluations. So moving into phase 2, Diane will take that group of pre-screened candidates that HR and she screened. She will then take those candidates and do an application deep dive, look really deep into their work history, their education, and their cover letter and resume, and put a quantitative score on each one of those. From there, she will take the 5 top scoring candidates and move them into the interview process. HR will then schedule those interviews, and I had an opportunity at that time to talk about with Diane who she selects for her evaluation panel, and she selects individuals from her team that are that know the job really well, or are also going to work with that individual on a day-to-day basis, so they can get a nice, well-rounded evaluation of them. HR will drive the interview process, so they'll be leading the evaluators, letting them know of all the processes and procedures that they need to follow. They'll provide all of the questions to them and also talk about the conduct of the interview of the panelists during the interviews. They will also arrange for the candidate to come in and where they're going to sit and making sure they're reserving rooms and everything else. And then during the interviews, the evaluators will rank the candidates as the interviews progress, kind of what they call a step method, where the first candidate in after the interview will be the top candidate. Then after the second candidate, they will rank the 1 and 2 candidates how they see fit, and so forth and so forth until the interviews are over. And at the end, each evaluator will have a ranking of 5 candidates. HR will come back in and lead that discussion of the comparison of the rankings. And then at the end of that, the top 2 candidates will be scheduled for second interviews. So before we get into phase 3 and 4, finishing up on the second interviews in phase 2, Diane does the second interviews. It's more of an informal interview, where the first interview is very formal with structured questions. The second interview is more of a conversational interview, and that's an opportunity for her to learn a little bit more about the candidate on a one-on-one basis, a little bit more personable. She learns about what they want to do as far as their career goals and aspirations, and is really able to gauge on the fit of the candidate within her team. Moving into phase 3, once Diane has identified that one individual she would like to move forward with, She notifies HR of that individual and what her salary recommendation is for the individual. HR will then reach out to the candidate after they've gotten approval for salary recommendation by the city manager. They will offer that candidate a conditional offer. And if that candidate then wants to negotiate, they'll go through the negotiation process. They'll be working with Diane during that negotiation process, and obviously the city manager for approvals if there is a salary increase after the negotiations. But Human Resources will handle all of that. Then once they come to an agreement, HR will send out a formal offer to that individual and start engaging in the post offer process. That post offer process consists of a formal background screening, a drug test, and also, excuse me, the reference checks. HR conducts those reference checks. They call their past employers, confirm everything is accurate on their applications that they stated, and making sure that they're in good standing with that previous employer, and whether that previous employer will rehire them if provided the opportunity. Once all of that is completed, HR will complete the paperwork with the candidate before a start date is determined. So thank you very much for watching my presentation. I apologize, that was a lot of information and a little bit of time, but I look forward to watching all of your guys as well.